1, 2, 3.
Chag Urim Sameach, Synagogue Emmanuel. It's wonderful to be here with you and celebrate Hanukkah this year. And although Abby and I can't invite you into our home to gather around a table or the Chanukiot, to light candles together, to eat delicious fried foods together, we feel honored that we're able to welcome you into our kitchen and to be able to do this cooking video with you. Now, we're going to make latkes for you on this show. And while normally there's this great Jewish debate as to which topping is better, applesauce or sour cream, we've decided that for this video, applesauce and sour cream are banned. They're not allowed. We're going to give you 8 different types of latkes, obviously 8, the number of the nights of Hanukkah, which we're going to have different toppings, one for each night, no applesauce, no sour cream. Now, one tip. We've all been through a lot this year. We've been through a lot with COVID. We seem to have both a lot of time at home and at the same time much less time than we're normally used to. And so, we're going to use some different ingredients for the base of our latke. Instead of shredding potatoes like we normally do, a little tip, we're going to use the pre-shredded hash browns that you can pick up at Publix in the frozen section. And to make it easy, we're going to chop up an onion, we're going to add in a little flour, an egg, some garlic, all those normal things that you do to make your main latke base. That is not where we're focusing our attention during this video. So you can see that we're just making a regular latke base with a little shortcut using those hash browns of those pre-shredded potatoes, but there's no reason to have to peel and shred potatoes unless you really love to and have lots of extra time. We're taking this shortcut. Believe it or not, the latke is one of those Ashkenazi inventions, obviously similar to a hash brown, but it's an Ashkenazi food that develops in the 19th century in Europe. When the latke started out, it was actually not made out of potato, but it was really just fried cheese. It was a very easy Eastern European dish that many Ashkenazi people had. And it wasn't until the potato arrived in Eastern Europe around the 19th century, when it became readily available, that it morphed from being a fried cheese pancake into a fried potato pancake. So now that our latke is done, the base of the latke fried to a nice, crisp, golden brown, now we're going to take the next step and look at the 8 different toppings, one for each night, that we're bringing to you in this latke video. The first night of Hanukkah is always so exciting. It's always that first smell of frying latkes or sufganiyot. It's those first moments of hearing the songs, the brachot, spinning the dreidel, the gelt, all those things for the first time. But it's also the first night of Hanukkah. It's just one candle. Our joy is wonderful because the holiday is starting, but it's not at its maximum. It's just at its very beginning. And as a kid, of course, you know your best present never comes on the first night. So I grew up really feeling that that first night of Hanukkah is just a taste of what's to come for the rest of the holiday. And so, for this first night of Hanukkah, we've put together a little bit of a classic appetizing dish for you. Lox, dill, and capers. What better way to start off our holiday than with a classic Jewish appetizing dish?
So, for the second night of Hanukkah, we're doing a family favorite, breakfast for dinner. And what better than egg and cheese on a latke? So, I've cracked my egg in a glass, and I've checked the egg to make sure it's kosher. I've checked for blood spots, and I am going to scramble it up a little. And we're going to spray the pan to make sure it doesn't stick. And look, we have a little special egg pan here that's a favorite in our house in the morning. And it's a good sizzle. Alright, we're going to let that cook for a little bit. And then right at the last minute, we're going to add a piece of cheese so it gets nice and melty and delicious on top of the latke. For night 3, we're taking inspiration from some wonderful memories of travel, and especially from a trip that we took to London. We still dream about the fish and chips that we had, so we're going to make some fish and chips inspired latke. I have here a small piece of tilapia, and we're trying to do a little bit of a lighter choice because fried on fried is delicious, but you know, we can take a little bit of a break. So my pan is hot, and add a little bit of olive oil. I've added some lemon pepper to the tilapia, and I am just going to pan sear it. It's a good sound, right? And as this cooks, I'm going to get it nice and crispy, and I'm going to put it right on top of the latke. And there you have it, fish and chips inspired by a wonderful trip to London.
As Abby and I were finishing the fish and chips inspired latke, we realized that it needed some form of sauce, but we weren't really sure what. And so we're going with a classic fish and chip sauce, which is tartar sauce. While we didn't have any in our refrigerator, we did have all the ingredients. Mayonnaise, some sweet relish, that is some pickles. We had capers left over from our first night of Hanukkah in there. And, of course, to finish it off, just a little bit of lemon. We mix all that together and we get our very own tartar sauce. For the fourth night of Hanukkah, we're making one of our favorite dishes, barbecued chicken and latkes. Now, throughout this whole video, all the recipes that we've been doing have been dairy. We're trying to keep it that way. It just makes life a lot easier so that you don't have lots of meat and dairy and all this stuff out at one time. Also, it makes it really delicious because we'll be able to eat all these latkes together if we want. So, we're using some Morningstar Farms chicken. That, of course, is fake chicken. And we're just putting it in a pan and searing it in a pan. It's already cooked and all that, so we don't have that much work to do. It's just getting it up to temperature, and then we're going to dump in a bunch of barbecue sauce to caramelize it in a pan, and then put it on top of our latke for a barbecued chicken latke.
So I'm making avocado toast inspired latke for the 5th night. It's actually one of my favorite lunches to make for myself. It's quick, it's easy, it's filling, and so I have one whole avocado here that I have cubed up to just kind of make it quick, and I'm scooping it into the bowl. We're going to mash it up, and but before I mash it, there are a few things I need to add. Scrape this out really quick. And we are going to add some lemon juice, some crushed red pepper, just a little bit of heat, and I like to top it off with everything but the bagel seasoning and within, and also a pinch of kosher salt. So I'm going to start mashing this, and soon enough I'll have my topping. So everything is mashed up. I'm going to top it on, and of course add some more everything but the bagel seasoning. You can also feel free to add maybe an egg with this, some cheese, and really make it your own.
As Hanukkah moves on, we know that a lot of the meals get heavy. After all, it's a holiday about oil and fried foods. And so for the sixth night, we have a very, very simple latke for you, which is a nice little fresh and colorful caprese style latke, some pesto, some mozzarella cheese, and a couple slices of tomato to go right on top. We'll add a little extra dollop of pesto just to make it fancy. Nice and easy for the sixth night of Hanukkah.
So for the seventh night, we're taking some inspiration from one of our favorite cuisines, Indian food. So I have some mayonnaise here. I'm adding a little bit of curry powder and some turmeric and mixing it all up. Really nice color. And we're going to put it on top of the latke with top with some cilantro.
For the final night of Hanukkah, we thought we'd go with a dessert latke, something that's warm and gooey and reflects the warmth of the light that we feel from all 8 candles. So we're going with poached pear and brie. First, take 2 pears and peel them. Leave the stem on though, because you'll need to put them in the poaching liquid, and then some chopped ginger to go into the liquid as well.
So I'm going to add half a bottle of sweet Moscato wine. And yeah, that looks about right. And we're going to do 1 tablespoon of honey. And just you could use any type of honey, and just to add some extra sweetness for the end of the holiday. And we're going to add some vanilla and cinnamon. And I've made here about a cup of just simple syrup, which is 1 cup of water to 1 cup of sugar. And I've brought that to a boil, stirred it well, and then let it cool. And then to balance out all the sweetness, I am adding a little bit of spice and some ginger. So that goes in. It's going to be really delicious, and even with the heaviness of the latke and the balance of the sweet, it's going to be great. And now, as I bring it up to a boil, I am going to gently place, we'll do one at a time, the pears. They stand up so nicely in the liquid. And I'm going to cover this, bring it to a boil, and then simmer for 15 minutes. After poaching in the liquid for about 15 minutes, the pear is now tender and cooling. Once cooled, I will cut the pear into slices about the same size as the latke. I will then cover it with 2 slices of brie in order to cover the pear and the latke. I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I will bake it for about 10 minutes or until the cheese is hot and bubbly.
So there you have it. 8 fancy, delicious latkes, none of them using sour cream or applesauce for a topping. Go ahead and try and make any one of them or all of them. Most of all, have a wonderful, happy, joyous Hanukkah. Chag Urim Sameach. Happy Hanukkah, everyone.